Hello, Leo. Great to have you here. My name is Shona. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like, and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Leo. Slideshows. So I'm going to talk about them one by one and how they relate to the cards that are on the table here. So the first thing that I saw is I see this little girl. She looks about 15 or 16. It looks like the 1800s. She's wearing a dress and she's on a bicycle. So she hiked up her dress to be able to sit properly on the bicycle so that the dress, the hems of her dress, doesn't get caught in the spokes and the wheels. So she hiked up her dress, her knees are exposed, she's wearing like stockings underneath and, some shoes, dress shoes. And she is just really happy with this new bicycle. So she's riding all over the village and she's going through a dirt road. And it looks like it recently rained, so there are puddles of water, rocks. So it's an uneven dirt road with a lot of mud, but she doesn't care. So she's riding through it. And she got mud like all over, her dress. It kind of like got into the tires and then it splashed back on her clothes, on her hair. And she doesn't mind, like she's having a really good time. When she got home, her mom saw her, like her knees exposed and dirt all over her. Her mom gave her a scolding. So it cuts away. So what I'm feeling with this energy, it seems like, it's the 1800s. Or at least it's a different time, different era, where gender roles were different, gender expectations were different, social expectations were different, what it means to be a girl, what it means to be a boy, and things like that. So her mom is sort of chastising her, like, you're a lady, you're 15, you're almost, marriage age, you're supposed to be more ladylike, you're not supposed to be a tomboy. So I feel like there are definitely societal, social, gender role expectations or something that is, imposed by other people onto you. And it feels almost like you have outgrown it. And you feel like it's restrictive. You feel like it interferes with your life. You feel like it's interfering with your ability to really live your life and enjoy your life. So I see many of you going through this stage where you are really questioning you're questioning, what it is that's making you really happy and why you're not able to pursue it. Okay, that's the main thing. And I feel for many of you, it could be if you're on the younger end of the age spectrum, it could be, family expectations. You're supposed to go to school. You're supposed to be a doctor. You're supposed to be a lawyer. You're supposed to be ladylike. Women are supposed to behave like this. Men are supposed to behave like this. And, it's everything seems like, or the people around you seem very, very reputation conscious. Okay. If you're a little bit older, like if you're, for example, in your 20s, people around you might be like, oh, what did you do before this? Or what school did you graduate from? And it seems almost as if they care about these things more than you as a person. Like they care about what school you graduated from. Where did you get your degree? Where did you get your education? Who are you connected to? So it's like very reputation conscious. Okay, so the environment that you're in, you feel almost like it's either very narrow-minded or you feel that people care about all of these superficial things that don't really, at the end of the day, don't really have a lot of substance, don't really have a lot of meaning. But nonetheless, they care about these things. And so I see many of you following, and you guys are like a very fierce sign. You're not one to follow the herd. However, I also feel like you guys are also very, very family oriented. So I'm sensing like if you grow up in an environment where mom and dad groom you for a specific, life path, for a specific career, for a specific, Ivy League school even, you don't want to disappoint them. But it gets to the point where you feel like life is going one way and the bottom line is you're questioning, you're questioning these chain of events. You're questioning the choices that have led you to this very moment. And you're also questioning whether or not you're just kind of like, going with the tide, or whether or not you are conscious or consciously making these decisions because they make you happy, or whether or not you are making these decisions or living a specific life path to appease other people, or it's because something that it has always been done, tried and true, and so you kind of like took it as gospel and you didn't question it. So I see this major awakening, this major epiphany coming into the picture. Crossroads as well. Am I still happy with it? Is this all there is to life? Is this something that is meant for me? Or is this something that I just kind of found myself walking this path? But is there other, like, are there other things out there for me that can bring me more emotional fulfillment? Okay, so I see all of these question marks kind of popping up when I shuffle your cards. And I feel like the energy can be very, very liberating if you're looking to break out and go out into the world and make your mark on the world. And then on the other hand, I feel for others of you who are a little bit more status quo oriented. I also feel like some of you are a little bit scared of these changes that are coming through. Things that are outside of your control, or things that you have always known to be true. All of a sudden you're reassessing. Okay. First of all, the way this energy is coming out, this is the card that really drew my attention. Your ship's coming in. Something that you have really, really, really waited for a very long time. I usually think of this as like a big opportunity, study abroad, going overseas to do some type of research work for some of you, because that did come through. So for example, you might be studying to be, like a doctor, right? And you're like, oh, I'm just going to be an MD, just like a general practitioner. And then you take a course, and then you're just like, you know what? Maybe I want to do public health. Maybe I want to go to like, pandemic zones and study like cultures and do microbiology or do epidemiology and study the transmission of diseases. And maybe I need to go to more of a tropical area or go overseas to a place where access to medicine might be very, very scarce. So your family might tell you, family expectations here. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be like, either a general practitioner, or you're going to be a surgeon, and you're going to work in these really posh, high-end, either private practice or in a very, very prestigious hospital. And your life is going to be all set. And you're just like, actually, I really want to get into this because I want to help people. And if I want to help people, I want to go to places where the needs are, impoverished neighborhood, underserved communities, especially going overseas to areas that don't have access to healthcare. So that's an example that I saw, so that I'm reiterating it, okay? And of course, all of you who are watching this are not in med school or are not trying to be doctors, but that's a big example that I'm using. Mainly because I feel like you're being groomed for something and it's making you happy, but you're also questioning whether or not you can do something else that is more meaningful. So I see this conflict coming out. On the one hand, you are very, very happy. But on the other hand, you're almost operating from the Aquarius spectrum, where you're wondering, like, what is my contribution to humanity? At the end of the day, it's not so much about what I want, what's making me happy, but how can I share my gifts with the world? How can I make things better for other people? So you're going through a little bit of a soul searching. What's really, really making me happy? Can I really, really be happy when the rest of, humanity is really suffering? So I feel this major maturation process happening here with Leos. And I also feel like you're plugged in. okay, to this collective consciousness, where on the one hand, your life might be really happy and dandy, but on the other hand, if you see, poverty and homelessness and just people struggling to get by, there's an element about you where you want to share your resources in order to make life, even temporarily, because you're not naive, okay? So share your resources, share your skills, share your knowledge to make things better for other people. Some of you are rethinking like a major career path, rethinking, and I definitely feel like something from like a private arena to more of a public servant. That's what I'm feeling. Um, so I feel like, for example, if you're a psychiatrist, if you're a doctor, you're thinking possibly going, packing up your bags from private practice. Even if you're a lawyer, private practice, going to be like a public defender or work in a more public environment where you're helping a lot of people. So you do want to, on the one hand, really serve humanity, but you also like, you're happy where you are. I don't feel like there's problems. With this 10 of Cups here, you're very happy and you feel very blessed with everything that you have achieved and everything, all the good things that are coming your way. But on the other hand, it's almost like you can't really sleep at night if there are people struggling out there in the world. Okay, so that's what I'm sensing. The second image that came through for you, and it's really weird, and I don't know why. I'm not seeing people, but I'm seeing animals. And the animals have, human characteristics, like human behaviors. They look like animals, but and I don't know why my guides don't show it in terms of a scene with humans, but let me just relay the message. So there's this nest, it's in the tree, and there are three little birds that have hatched from these eggs, and the mother is there. So there's a nest in the tree, there are three little birds, and the mother bird, the female bird, is there as well, watching over her three kids. And then the dad bird comes back. He has like worms and grubs in his mouth, and then he feeds the kids. And then the mom and dad seems like they're bickering. So then the dad was all like, okay, I've done my part. I've fed the kids. Now I'm going to go off and play. Okay, so that's like the image that I'm seeing. And that's why I question, like, why don't I see humans? Like, why isn't it just the mom with the kids? Dad comes home, gives them money, and then takes off. So what I'm feeling here is a situation where two people potentially could be staying together because of obligation, okay? Because of expectations from other people, because they're trying to keep the family unit intact, because both of these people have specific roles that are assigned to them, okay? So one person could be in charge of taking care of the kids, the other one is like, bringing home the bacon, bringing home the money. And I feel like there is even a concept with like power differential in the relationship where the person that works or the person that earns money or the person that earns more money in the relationship feel like they control the relationship. So there's an element of control here that is very deeply rooted in this spread. And I feel like you're at a point in your life where you want to be on your own. You want to be self-sufficient. You want to not have to depend on other people. So, if someone is like helping you pay for tuition, for example, and they want you to only study certain things or, graduate with a certain major, I feel like you're starting to feel the pressure, or you're starting to feel that, you know what, there's strings attached in this union, or there are strings attached in this give and take. And I feel like someone is dangling something over you and constantly reminding you, I'm doing this for your own good, or I'm doing this, or, you owe me, or remember what I'm doing for you so that later on you don't forget me. So it's like very strings attached, it's very much conditional. Okay. You have to do this. in order to get that. So things are very, very conditional. And I'm starting to feel like you're feeling the weight of it. You're feeling like there is no free lunch. You're feeling as well that the other person is dangling this thing over you. And so your ability to make your own decisions might be severely limited. Okay. I'm sensing as well in a work environment, there is some type of unfairness that's coming through. First of all, I have here the Eight of Pentacles, okay, working hard, keeping your nose to the grindstone, in the reverse position, with the Devil in the reverse position. Some of you might physically just be like, this job is not doing it for me anymore, and I'm reassessing whether or not I want to invest more time in it. And then I also feel some imbalances in the work environment where the people that are not really doing their job, they're getting the promotions because they know somebody, because of their connections, or because of like just corruption is such a broad term, but I'm just going to use that. Favoritism, corruption, strings attached. You know, you do this for me and then I do this for you. Like I'll scratch your back and you scratch mine. So it's a very, very, from your end, Leos, it's a very unethical, toxic type of a situation. And I feel like many of you might have already left that situation waiting for new opportunities to come on the horizon for you. And you're prepared because you knew this wasn't working. And then I feel like for some of you, you might stay in a job because of the financial security. It pays the bills. And I feel almost like you've been wanting to leave for quite some time. But, you know, you have family, you have people that are financially dependent on you. And it's making it harder and harder and harder. But I feel like this might be the breaking point where you start to realize your worth and you're starting to want out and seek new opportunities. Okay. And then going back to the birds, okay, the one that brings home the grubs and the worms, he's like, okay, I've done my part, now I'm gonna go off and play. So I definitely feel the weight of responsibilities, obligations, especially when it comes to child rearing, when it comes to family expectations, when it just comes to not being able to get your alone time. Okay. I see a lot of people crowded in an environment. Everything is just very, very crowded. A lot of activities, a lot of things are happening around you. And it seems like you want a moment of peace. You want some solitude. You have a lot of things that you need to get done. So for some of you, if you're working from home, there's like kids running around or, you know, family members dropping by unannounced and the doorbell's always ringing or text messages are constantly dinging or your phone's always going off or there's like animals, pets, children, just a whole barrage of activities happening around you. And take yourself to the library, take yourself somewhere else where you can get your work done. And then I also feel for others who are, you know, in between jobs, who are trying to apply for a job, getting their resume together, looking for jobs online. And it's almost like the responsibilities that you have to contend with is delaying the job search process. Okay, so that's what I'm feeling. And so somebody once gave me like the best advice. And it is like the best advice I've ever heard. One of the best that I've ever heard. And he's a father of a friend. And he mentioned to her when she was looking for work, treat the job search as a full-time job. You wake up at 7, you get ready. At 8, you sit at your computer, or 7 to 8, you eat your breakfast or whatever. And then at 8 to 5 p.m., you sit at your computer and you look for work, you apply for it one after the other, you take your lunch break at 12, and then you stop doing the job search at 5. And he goes, and then the next day you repeat. So you treat the whole job searching process as if it's a full-time job. And once you get yourself in a pattern, once you are responsible, once you are diligent, and I feel like, you know, that's when the serious jobs are going to be in the picture. treat it like a full-time job. Okay, be serious with it, and don't just bookmark it and let it sit. When something catches your fancy, apply for it right away. That way you can knock it down. And he also said, like, as well, create a quota for yourself. So for example, today I'm going to apply for 5 jobs, and then until you finish those 5 jobs applications, that's when you call it a day. And then the next day, set a quota for yourself. But either way, we have to treat it like a full-time job. And so I see some of you're kind of like sitting at home, trying to do these job searches, or trying to fix your resume, or trying to apply for these job applications. And, it's not a fun process. And I see kids around you like, Mom, do you look at what I'm doing? Or Dad, look at what I'm doing. And so you're getting a lot of distractions. And so, block out some time, go to the library, go to a coffee shop with like internet, and try to take care of things from your end, and don't feel guilty that you kind of need to, be away from people. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to do what you need to do to take care of yourself first, and then, resume your life after. Okay, so that's what I'm feeling. And I do see money being a little bit of an issue for many of you. So I have here the Eight of Pentacles. Whatever that was stably coming in is no longer coming in. And then we also have as well the Two of Pentacles. This is kind of like making ends meet. Usually piecing together a few part-time jobs in order to get by, in order to make rent, in order to pay the bills at the end of the day. There's a lot of assistance coming through from family members and loved ones. I do sense that. But I feel like, while we're in this space, it's really, really, it can feel really disheartening. Okay? I do sense that. It can feel very disheartening. But they're really telling you not to cut corners and do things the right way. I have here the Wheel of Fortune. Things are going to come into the picture in divine timing. It's in the reverse right now, and so it requires a lot more discipline, a lot more diligence, and a lot more consistency from your end. We have as well the Seven of Swords, and this is strongly on top of the Wheel of Fortune. Do not cut corners. Do not take the easy way out. And you really have to commit yourself in order to create the new life or the new job, or to attract the things that you want that are actually going to